What's up everyone? Brian here from Ride Your Money Wave. Today I wanted to give you guys a video talking about how I'm utilizing this time during the COVID-19 shutdown to better position myself to be successful and wealthier when all this is over. Now, I like to be very productive. Productivity makes me happy. So to be firing at all cylinders before this shutdown happened, to then being quarantined when in my house, my business literally drying up and going to zero, and having all this extra free time on my hands, it has been quite an adjustment. But there's been three things that I have implemented into my life that I find is going to position me so that when all this is over, my business gets back to normal and actually even thrives. So there are three things that I implement into my daily routine that I want to talk to you about today that are helping me get through this shutdown, but also position me to be more successful when I'm done. The very first thing that I do, or the first thing that I've been implementing, is I've been reading more. Now I have a rule, and that is I won't watch anything and I won't read anything unless it makes me smarter or it makes me more money. So reading fiction really isn't in my genre, it's not in my library. Instead, I like reading books that deal with money, investing, marketing, negotiations, anything dealing with business or finance. And so one of the books that I just finished is this book right here, Dan Ariely's Dollars and Cents. I have read all of his books. I think there's probably about 5 or 6 of them out there, but he is a behavioral economist that looks at the rationality of people. And when it comes to money, we are primarily irrational. Now, if you've read any of his other books, the first 2/3 of this book largely being recaps of different ideas that he covers, but the last third of that book really ties it all together, and it looks at the irrationality of our decision making when it comes to money and how we are largely driven by emotions rather than logic when it comes to money. This totally ties into the beliefs that I have around becoming wealthy and how becoming wealthy is actually quite easy. There's a system in place in order to become wealthy, i.e., buy assets, invest in the stock market, own rental properties. But the actual implementation of those strategies is very difficult because we operate emotionally, not logically. So, point being, I'm spending my time reading. Every day I'm trying to log at least an hour and knock out some of these books that make me smarter and wealthier. So, if I were to assign a book to you, what would I recommend? I would say a good place to start, you have 3 options, 2 of which I don't have here with me because they're back at my classroom. But the first would be The Automatic Millionaire by David Bach. This was the first book I read out of college, and I figured, well, if I'm an adult now, I should probably start acting like one when it comes to my money as well. And this kind of got the ball rolling in terms of me thinking about how to manage my money and whether or not I have what it takes to become a millionaire. And as it turns out, it's pretty easy. All you have to do is automate your good decisions. The second book I would recommend that you read is called I Will Teach You to Be Rich. This is kind of a continuation of that thought process, but goes a little bit more in depth with some actionable steps. And the last but not least, the third book that I would tell you to read is this guy right here, which I finished right before. Come on, there we go. I need longer arms. But it is A Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins. And this falls in place with Vanguard's investing thesis on buying and holding index funds. Again, becoming wealthy is actually pretty easy to do once you make the decision to do it, once you actually start getting the ball rolling. And this book lays out what funds to buy and why you should hold them, i.e. a total market index fund and a total bond market fund, and to just buy and hold and continuously invest. So make sure during this time period that you have all this extra time off that you are reading. The second thing, and this is going to take a little bit more time and it's a little bit more of a bold suggestion, but the second thing that you can do to position yourself for more success and more wealth once this is all over is actually start a side hustle. There have been so many companies that start during a recession. I know personally, I started my photography business in 2008, right at the height of, the bubble, the housing market crisis. When my teacher pay was frozen for several years, I bought another rental property. And now, with this time off, I am starting this YouTube channel. And I'm also taking this time to pivot my current business to not only attract weddings, which I normally shoot, but to do some studio work as well, to diversify my revenue stream a little bit. So starting a business during a recession, or at least starting a side hustle, it's great for two reasons. Number one is it gets your mind off your current state. And you'd be surprised what progress will do for your purpose. So designing your first website, designing your first business card, setting up all of your different social media accounts, just thinking about a better tomorrow and taking steps towards it by starting your own business is going to be huge for your psyche. Many times on the podcast, I've mentioned how I will just naturally wake up at like 3 a.m, full of energy with, just this nagging idea, and I will just sit down and hammer it out before I go to my 9-to-5 job of working as a high school teacher. And is it crazy? Sure. Is it a little bit unbalanced? Probably. But I can't help to just naturally wake up with so much energy because I have that purpose in my life through my business. And so be a contrarian. When the economy is slowing down, take that additional risk and start a business. And what I find when I look at my decision making of when I bought rental houses and when I started businesses and when I took additional risk, I would say that there were two main themes that went along with it. Number one was extreme ownership. When I bet on myself, that is the safest bet that I can make. And that's the second one. I take extreme ownership over my life, my accountability, the direction of my life. And I say, you know what? These external circumstances are not going to define my future. I'm going to define my future. Betting on yourself is one of the safest bets you can make because it's one of the few things that you can control. I can control the books that I read. I can control when I wake up. I can control what I think about. I can control how I spend my time. And so placing a bet on yourself and placing a bet on your business is actually much less risky than most people think. And for me, it's paid off wonderfully. I love my teaching job, but I actually make more money in my business than I do as a teacher. And the average millionaire has 7 sources of income. 7. It's very difficult to become wealthy if you only have one 9-to-5 job. So, having said that, number 1, read. Number 2, consider starting a side hustle or a business. And the third one is actually take some time for yourself and the relationships in your life. One of the things that I've really enjoyed doing is twice a day I will call someone in my phone book, friends, family, cousins, you name it. And I've even been sitting down and scheduling like FaceTime dates, having like virtual happy hours with those people. And it's been really good. It's been really good to reconnect with them. It's been good for the psyche, good for the relationship. You know, we live in such a busy world with such busy lives that oftentimes the people and the things that matter most to us get pushed to the side for what we deem to be more immediate needs. And so one of the things that I teach in my classroom is that there are 3 keys to success: who you are as a person, how you present yourself, and the third one, which is the most important, which no one ever taught me when I was in school, is who you know. So taking time during this quarantine, during this stay at home, to reach out, to connect to people, to see how they're doing, perhaps even see how you can help, and to reestablish and maintain those relationships, I think is going to become very valuable when the quarantine and the COVID-19 scare is over. So there you have it, guys. Number 1, read. Number 2, start a business. Number 3, check in with the people that you love and maintain and foster those relationships. I think if you do that for a solid month or 2, as this has been going on, you'll have some momentum coming out of this. Granted, take time, watch Tiger King. It's a classic, right? But you'll have so much momentum coming out of this that you can redefine what your normal is. And that is a huge differentiator between you being successful and becoming wealthy and you going back to your original way of living. So till next time, take this information and go out there and go live your best life. Take care.